Tonight, we are honored to have Susan Vogt here to give us advice on how to reduce our consumption of plastic and how best to dispose of single-use plastic. So please post your questions in the chat. For the question and answer session following her presentation. You know, as soon as you think of something, write it in the chat and we'll catch it after her presentation. A little bit about Susan. Susan is a member of our Education and Lifestyles Working Group and also a member of the Pachamama Alliance of Cincinnati. She has 25 years of experience as a Catholic diocesan family ministry director and has turned her attention to helping people live environmentally sustainable lifestyles by writing a popular blog called Living Lightly. Her latest book is Blessed by Less, Clearing Your Life of Clutter by Living Lightly. For the past year, she has focused on plastics and how they impact the environment from production to disposal. So we're grateful that she is here today to share with us her extensive knowledge. So Susan, I have a question for you. When I go grocery shopping and I am faced with questions about what to buy, since so much is packaged in plastic, and then I don't know exactly what to do with this plastic stuff. What do you suggest?
Well, great question that I have asked myself over and over again. In all honesty, I should tell you that my husband, Jim, does most of the grocery shopping in our family because he also is the primary cook. But because I cared about this so much, I decided several times I just walked behind him in the grocery store to see, well, okay, is there an alternative to this thing you usually buy? Or how should what should we do about all of the plastic packaging that you're mentioning? And I will be spending a fair amount of time on that in this webinar. But first, I wanted to get to the prior steps to the grocery store. And so I'm going to switch to a PowerPoint. And before I do that, let me say that what we're going to start with in this webinar is, because I think it is probably most relevant to the folks gathered here, is about your home and your family. You as an individual consumer, and how do you reduce your environmental consumption? However, because this also comes from the Faith Communities Go Green working group of Green Umbrella, I'm going to transition near the end to, well, what can congregations do? What can you do in your social or civic groups where you gather in a group larger than just your own family? And how can these institutional gatherings have less single-use plastic or plastic in general? And then I'm really trying to give ideas for both the beginners and the experts. Many of you are here because you wouldn't be here if you didn't already care. And so you've probably tried a lot of the things I'm going to mention, but I want to give you ideas beyond just the normal too. For those who are really heavily involved already, what kinds of extra challenges, or how could you refine your lifestyle even more? So we'll have a little of both of those things. And at the end, we're going to save 15 minutes for Q&A. And so put your questions in the chat, as Joanne mentioned, as we go along. And we'll deal with that at the end, along with some other announcements. So let's see. So think of your questions, but you're going to be muted, so you can't ask them till the last 15 minutes. So I'm going to go to share my screen. And let's see, we got that there. Okay, green umbrella, reducing single-use plastics. What I'm going to do first is share the bad news with you, because we can do nothing but get better after that. So this is a short video about some maybe discouraging or news that is not so positive. And so let's see, we go here, new share. Okay, so I hope that wasn't too depressing, but we're here tonight to look at solutions and how to manage the enormity of plastic pollution, both for the human species and the environment in general. So the good news, though, is that plastics are not 100% evil. And so I thought, let's look at some of the positive things first. Of course, there are many medical uses for plastics that are important because it keeps things sterile. Plastics are cheap, they're convenient, and they can be fun. You know, we buy plastic toys for our kids, or at least we used to when our kids were young and still at home. So another piece of good news is that if human beings developed plastics in the beginning, then human scientists are discovering solutions. So we're not powerless in this. But will the solutions come soon enough? Now, the picture you see on the left of this PowerPoint, on the right of the PowerPoint, is in California, where they are making the roads out of plastic, recycled plastic. And so that's certainly one positive use of plastic at the end of its normal life. And then I also remember, let's see, Nzambi Mati, which is a Kenyan name. It's a woman scientist in Kenya who turns plastic into bricks for building shelters and houses and other things. So there are things that plastics can be recycled and used in, but will this come soon enough? That is one of the questions that I have. And one of the things that keeps me sane as I get depressed and discouraged about the use of plastics is this quote: "We don't need a handful of people doing zero waste perfectly. We need millions of people doing it imperfectly. That's from Anne Marie Bonneau. And that's what really I hope that this webinar will inspire you to do, because it's about multiplying our efforts. We're not going to do everything perfectly, but a lot of us need to do something. So, oh, there it is. You don't need to do everything. The goal is tonight is that I'm going to ask you to pick at least one new solution. It might be a simple thing that you just want to expand on, or it might be something major. But so let's look at some of the solutions. Of course, the classic solutions that you've heard thousands, if not millions of times, is reduce, reuse, recycle. And the order that we do these solutions in is important. That is, better to reduce the use of plastic. And then if you can't reduce it, you try to reuse it. And if you can't reuse something, then how do we recycle it? And so we're going to get to all of those. But before we get to the classic reduce, reuse, recycle, I'd like to add 2 extra R's, and that's rethink and refuse, that really come as part of, it comes before reducing, actually. And so on the rethinking, a lot has to do with simplifying my lifestyle, so I don't need as much, either plastics or other things. And I haven't done so much with clothes recently because I have am of an age where I don't need to buy more new clothes. And a lot of the clothes I have over my lifetime of 70 some years are synthetics, which have plastic in them. My issue is more that the less clothes I have, the less I have to store. So simplifying my lifestyle and therefore not having as many things I have to store in containers is part of rethinking. But the plastic containers, one of the shopping trips I made, grocery shopping trips with my husband, I had 2 epiphanies. One was that I realized, oh, we're buying yogurt, and yogurt comes in a number 5 plastic container. And for a long time, Rumpke's did not accept number 5s. And so I always had to take them to Whole Foods. And then in the process, I thought, how can I avoid buying yogurt? Well, I remembered that many moons ago, when our kids were young, I used to make yogurt at home, and I still had in my basement storage area this yogurt maker. And so I pulled it out and I started remaking yogurt. So it was rethinking if I needed to buy yogurt in a number 5 container anyway. And as we'll see later, Rumpke's now accepts those number 5s. But another thing I rethought is that I noticed that a lot of things, especially fruits and vegetables in the grocery store, came in clamshells, those plastic see-through clamshells. And I like fruits and vegetables. And one of the things that we would regularly get was alfalfa sprouts. And so I thought I saw somewhere on the internet that you can make your own alfalfa sprouts. So I decided I would try it. And all I needed was a mason jar and a bunch of seeds. So I now make my own alfalfa sprouts. Those are just 2 small things, well, that I changed my lifestyle on, but simplifying even those 2 things gets complicated because it takes me, maybe to make the alfalfa sprouts, maybe 2 minutes a day, but I've got to remember to do it. And the yogurt making takes maybe half an hour to an hour once a week or so, but I've got to remember to buy the whole milk, and I've got to remember Most of that time is waiting for the milk to heat and then to cool off, but it's a matter of another task to do. So simplifying can be complicated. And then we have the whole refuse category. And you may have heard of the movement. It started in California, I believe, that's called Skip the Stuff. And it's moved nationally, if not internationally, to help people be more conscious of saying right up front, especially for carry-out containers or things that you, when you're at a store and they offer you the plastic bag, you say, oh, I don't need a bag. Or because I've got my own, I'm carrying my own reusable bag. Or especially during the pandemic, the things that the carry-out food industry would automatically put in their package is usually plastic knives, forks, spoons. And when I didn't eat in a restaurant often, but when I did, they'd give you a doggy box, often styrofoam. So I found that I got a substitute for the doggy bag and would bring my own. And I have a little collection of things that in my own cutlery that I can keep in my very small purse. So skipping the stuff is something that you have to remember to say when you are offered something. No, I don't need that. And so rethink and refuse can be prior to even reducing. So then we get into reducing, and that was one of your beginning question, Joanne. And so there's the store packaging. So let's start with that. One solution is, before you even get to the store, shop at farmers markets, grow your own food, you know, in terms of vegetables and fruits. I can't grow my own meat. And use reuse stores. Now, in the greater Cincinnati area, many of you may already know that there's the Fillmore, Waste Less, Cocoa, and Simply Zero stores. There may be others, but those are the ones that I've been at and know, where it's bulk food. So you take your own container generally and fill up that way so you don't have the packaging. And then there's also the avoiding plastic packaging. For example, all the vegetable and fruit clamshells that I referred to. And then there's always the plastic packaging that cleaning supplies come in, like dishwashing liquid, hand cleaning soaps, laundry detergent. So how do we avoid some of that? And that's the reducing at home part. I've experimented with quite a few ways to substitute non-plastics for these plastics that traditionally, a year ago even, I would have bought in stores. And I just mentioned here a couple of my favorites. You can see the picture on the right of the Earth Breeze laundry strip, and it has a pen next to it just to show you the size. That these are paper-like strips that I put in my laundry washer, and instead of a liquid, or instead of even a Tide pod, or you know, one of the other alternatives, it comes packaged in a cardboard envelope, and it is very ecological. So that's one of my favorite things to do. There's several brands that sell these. Earth Breeze is one of them. One friend of mine mentioned to me that she has some allergies and she was allergic to one of these brands. So I don't know which one it is. But so the laundry eco strips is one substitute. Another substitute that I've liked a lot is silicone containers for leftovers or lids. And those are the other two pictures you see, because silicone is not plastic. I'll talk about some cautions about silicone in a moment, but the main thing, I love these plastic containers because I love collapsible things that can get into small, don't take up much room in my cupboard. So that's just a personal preference of mine. And I like to try to simplify the space in my house. Now, the eco product companies that I've used are listed there. Blueland, the first one, they're alphabetical, so it's not necessarily one is better than another. But Blueland is unique in that the things they sell avoid shipping liquids. And so that means they don't need plastic containers that they comes in. They ship powder that you add your own water to. And then Clean Cult, I use a number of those products. Drops also are for dishwashers, and many of you probably use those already. They have similar laundry tablets. Earth Breeze, Eti does everything, touches everything else, cleaning and personal products, and True Earth, which also does the laundry paper strips. So those are mostly online things that you have to buy or have to purchase online, although some of the local stores that are above also carry those products. So let's go on to some of the cautions. Substituting so that we can reduce single-use plastics is important, but there are some caveats that I'd like to mention that I've learned over this past year especially. One is to wait. And by wait, I mean, I bought these things because I figured I was going to test them out so I could see if they were helpful products and if they actually worked. However, I already had quite a few plastic products developed over, 50 years of marriage and having a household. And I didn't want to just throw them in the garbage or even try to recycle them. So I decided that, yes, it's better to use them up before buying more stuff if you can, unless you really love collapsible products and you want to try the silicone things. So weight might be a caution for some things that you buy. The second thing is cost. Eco-friendly substitutes often cost more. Not always, but often. Because I'm very price conscious. I grew up being a frugal zealot, to a fault perhaps, but I found that it could change, that the cost increase of many of the products could change as people buy more of them, because that would create an economy of scale, and that it's a way of supporting startups. Now, not everyone can afford to say, okay, the amount of income I need to live on right now, I can't afford to buy more expensive things. But it's just a caution. And realizing, though, if you buy some of these products, it can help them scale up so that they can eventually bring the cost down. So then the third caution is convenience. Not all of these products are available locally. And sometimes you have to weigh, I'm in the grocery store now, do I wait and go to a separate store to buy some of these things, or do I order it online? And that's a decision to make. The online buying involves transportation. Somebody's got to ship this stuff from somewhere in usually the United States or Canada, and that uses petroleum, gas, and other products. So convenience means at times we might not do it perfectly. And then the final caution, there are probably many, but this one is silicone the solution? Well, I found lots of these silicone products that I really liked. And I thought, great, it's not plastic, it's food friendly. The silicone food products can be put in the microwave, the dishwasher, the oven, the freezer. They're food safe. They don't leach the material from the silicone into the food product. And it doesn't break into microplastics. And the video we watched at the beginning showed a lot of the pollution that happens from plastic breaking down in the environment, polluting the air and ground and the oceans, and the fish in the oceans eat that, they consume it, that gets into the food chain through the water. And so the fact that silicone it's very durable. Plastic is durable, silicone is even more durable. And a number of the products are available on Amazon, so it's rather easy to get. But silicone is not easily recyclable, not as recyclable as plastic, in that there aren't the places locally and in many cities to recycle silicone. It is possible to recycle it, but you happen to live in an area, you need to live in an area that has the capacity to do that. And I did a lot of research on silicone, and what I found was a mixed result, is that generally it's better than plastic, but its environmental impact is still debated. And so it's not, I don't want to make a final, this is the magic answer to everything. If there are scientists among you, I welcome your research on this also. So now we get to the reuse part of reduce, reuse, recycle, and I added repair to the reuse part. And I'm assuming that many, if not most of you, already do these things. And that's carry your own reusable drink bottle or container or cup. Bring your own cutlery. And I have down in the picture there, the middle orange one is made of plastic. It's a spork, but I like it because it's light. It fits in my purse, which is the black purse in the middle. And it's a knife, fork, and spoon all in one. And so it's reusable. Used to take it back in the days when we were having potlucks and community gatherings. I would just take that out of my purse and use it. And then there are the other collapsible metal cutlery, or there's bamboo things that are popular with some people. And then I have several of my reusable bags there that I take to the grocery, and cups to reuse. And the reuser box in the bottom is sort of my answer to the doggy bag, that it's a matter of when I go to restaurants, which is only starting to resume a little bit. I took it last week to a restaurant and there was some leftovers. So I said, no, I've got my own box to put this leftover food in to take it home. So that's part of the reuse. And then repair is if, I restarted getting acquainted with my sewing machine and repairing some clothes that I would have maybe just thrown away before. Get handy, fix it. Jim was able to fix our blender. I was thinking I'd have to, get a new one. And, the thing that neighborhoods and friends are good for are borrowing and sharing. That's not the only thing that our friends are good for, but I don't hesitate. I've been much quicker to check out if anybody in the neighborhood needs, for instance, we have a lawnmower, and I noticed a new neighbor moved in, and most of the other houses on my street already have a lawnmower, but I'm committing myself to checking with this new neighbor because I see their grass is getting pretty low, pretty high. Could you use a lawnmower? You're welcome to have ours whenever you want it. Don't take it more than a day, but so borrowing and sharing. And now we get to recycling. And I want to start with Rumpke because that's in the Cincinnati area, the primary curbside recycler. And remembering at the beginning that recycling is not enough. It's not the first answer, it's the final answer. It is better than polluting the air, land, and water, or having our plastic things go into a landfill where they last forever. Now, curbside recycling by Rumpke takes paper, glass, and metal, and they also take some plastics. They've recently added the number 5 tubs, they call them, which includes yogurt containers and cottage cheese containers. And so that's progress. They don't take all number 5s. They don't take all plastic. In fact, they do not take the plastic clamshells. They do not take plastic film, and they don't take the foam packaging, AKA styrofoam. Now, on the plastic film, hopefully many of you already know that Kroger's and probably many other places have a container in the entryway where they will take the plastic bags and other plastic film. And I give Kroger's a lot of credit for doing that. I've asked them, where do you take it after you collect it? And there are places that can recycle that, but they are one of the places. Rumpke does not take them. It jams up their machines, but independent groceries and places like that do take the plastic film. Now, a question that I always asked myself as I'm trying to recycle is, what about the caps? Do I put the cap on the bottle or do I take it off? And the rule of thumb that helped me is like to like. If it's a plastic container and it has a plastic cap, keep the plastic lid on the cap. Now, I just called, Rumpke's today, and I said, what about, I've been taking the metal lids off my glass jars that Rumpke's will take in their recycling carts. Is that correct? Can those caps, because it's magnetic and their machines pick them up, and I've been taking them off and putting them separately. But Rumpke told me, or Rumpke's service person said, no, you can leave those caps on too. They're bigger, and they're magnetic because they're metal. But if you're wondering about those small little plastic caps, especially, keep them on the plastic bottle. And there's the website and number to call for Rumpke's. Now we have a backup to Rumpke's because the Cincinnati Recycling and Reuse Hub, which opened rather recently, I call it the hub, takes a lot that Rumpke curbside recycling does not. And it's in the lower west side of Cincinnati. They take for free most things. They take all 1 through 7 plastics, including the clamshells, and they take foam cap packaging. Now, a little caveat here is that very soon, I am told by Colleen, who is on the call tonight, Colleen McSwiggan, who started this, that they are in negotiations to take all kinds of foam packaging. Right now, they take the large building supply kinds of styrofoam and other things that are foam packaging, but not the carry-out containers. But soon they will be able to do that. So please watch for it, because I think that's something that is a conundrum for many people who want, if you have to have some of that foam packaging, what can you do afterwards? And sometimes I wondered, how can I tell if it's really the kind of packaging foam that can be recycled, you know, with, it can't be recycled by Rumpke at all, but with a place like the Hub, if it tears, it's okay. The Hub also has TerraCycling and much more, many more things that they can take. The bins there in the picture just show you a sample of some of the things. They also, for a small fee, take electronics, batteries, light bulbs, and other things like that. And their location is here, which I'm not going to move on, but this is being recorded, and a lot of these resources you're going to be able to get at another place that I'll tell you at the end. So beyond the home, let's say I better move along quickly so we have the time for question and answer, is that larger faith communities and social gatherings try to use washable plates, cups, cutlery instead of disposables, encourage people to bring their own stuff, but not everybody's going to be able to do that or remember to do it. And a community institution can create a green team of volunteers to support these activities. In my own parish, one of the women for our gatherings of maybe, this was before the pandemic, of 30 people or so, we'd have a potluck, and she'd take all of the washable plates and cups home and wash them herself and bring them back for the next one. If you have a huge gathering, that's probably not too practical. Educate the community in the 3 S's, if you need more alphabets. Systemic change, science, and spirit. Systemic change means you've got to get into the political sphere of how do we change government policies, how do we influence organizations to reduce plastics, and reducing plastic at their source where they're being produced, not just after we have the product in our house. And that involves mining petrochemicals, fracking, cracker plants, regulations, etc. And then there's science, support scientific development, so we can have alternatives, and inspire the whole human spirit, that's us, to reduce the demand for plastic. And as we reduce our use of single-use plastics, that reduces the demand at the source. And so that's going to help with the production. So the challenge is, first, thank yourself. Identify one step you already have taken. And probably maybe you take your reusable bag to the grocery so you don't have to use the plastic bags. Or maybe there's something else you already do. Great, thank yourself. Then pick one new step to reduce your use of plastics this week, if you can. And this might include registering for the Plastics Eco Challenge, which is a follow-up whole month of July that the Green Umbrella is offering, as it's a worldwide competition to reduce plastics. And I think we'll talk more about that. I think Becca hopefully is with us, who will mention that later at the end. And remember, we don't need a handful of people doing zero waste perfectly. We need millions of people, all of us, doing it imperfectly. And so at the bottom of this slide, I have my own contact information. You're welcome to contact me by email, or you can check out my Living Lightly blog. And I have just put on my latest blog entry gobs of things to read and videos to watch. That is more than most humans can do. But it's there as a resource for you. And all you have to do is go to my blog website and you'll get more things to inform and educate yourself than you'll ever be able to do. So now let's see, stop share. Okay, now I'm back with you all. Q&A. I don't know, is Kathy Downey, have you appeared anywhere?
I have not seen her.
Okay.
I also have not seen Becca, but you and I were talking and she's in California and it may not have been possible for her to get online.
Okay, Kathy was going to manage the chat, so I have not looked at it yet.
Yeah, I've been looking.
Okay, are there questions already in the chat?
There is a conversation that's going on. One, and you may be aware of, is that this person said that tools can be borrowed from the Kenton County Library. Were you aware of that?
Yes. Oh, and it's wonderful. In fact, this is one thing my husband found. It's not actually at the library building itself. You go to a separate building in, at least for the Covington Library, and he got a hedge clippers, because we were doing it all by hand, and we have a hedge that would be more easily done with an electric one. So it was free. We just picked it up, could return it anytime that week, and it was wonderful. And I bet Cincinnati might have similar resources. Does anybody know that?
Yeah, Imago has a thingery that has things like that in it. Coolers, tents, some tools. And then also there's the Cincinnati Tool Bank for if you're actually setting something up for, say, another nonprofit, then you can rent things from there for cheaply for a week or a day or whatever you need it for.
Okay. And Colleen, I'm so glad you spoke up, because Colleen McSwiggan is the lead person for the hub and knows all things that are valuable to know there if you want to contact her either now or ask a question now. But are there other questions?
Well, I'm going to continue down this chat line, but before I do, I want to introduce CJ Willie and let her talk about caps and benches.
Okay, great.
CJ, if you can unmute yourself and explain what I just said, because nobody knows why caps and benches are tied together.
Okay, well, we work with people of diverse ages at Earth Connection, but one of the groups we work with is the Girl Scouts. And we thought a good activity for them would be to collect bottle caps, plastic lids from bottles and containers, and they could be recycled into benches and picnic tables. And we started essentially with just the Girl Scouts. And that was about 1.5 years ago. We have gotten caps and lids from all over the country. People are mailing us their caps and lids from California, from Nevada, from Ohio, from Texas, everywhere. People are trying to save this. We recently just purchased a small little house for the yard so we could put all the plastics in. We also have had 2 benches made and a picnic table made, and they're really beautifully done. The picnic table weighs 585 pounds. So it's not going to go anywhere. It's 8 feet long. And then we have 2 benches right now, and we're planning to get some more. But that's another activity. It has to go through Green Tree Plastics in Evansville. They're the ones that will convert the caps into the benches and the tables.
And the ones I've seen are very colorful. They're very beautiful.
You can have whatever color you want.
And if somebody wants to send that to you, can you put your where they send it? Can you put the address in?
Okay, right now we are not accepting anymore.
Oh, okay.
Simply because we have no space. Like I said, we were purchasing one of those little outdoor sheds, but they can't get it to us until the middle of August. And our big room that we have presentations in was half filled with bottle caps.
Oh my goodness.
So we're not taking any right now. I will let you all know when we can take them again.
FYI, the hub is taking them.
Great.
Yep. And we actually have some, if there's a school who's trying to collect them to get their own bench and they need, you know, another 20 pounds, another 50 pounds, we're happy to donate it to them.
Thanks, Colleen.
Okay, so we have a question. What do we do if we are still doing curbside and we don't need those plastic bags that they put our stuff in?
Okay, well, you probably know that on the curbside recycling, you don't want to put things in plastic bags there. That just messes it up. But assuming this is the kind of film that you can put in Kroger's recycling containers or other stores like that, I know that Rumpke especially does not want things in black plastic because their machinery can't see through that. So those black plastic trays that come with carryout stuff, those aren't bags, they're trays, but Rumpke will not take those because they can't read the information on it. And so I take those to Kroger's well, I have my husband take them to Kroger's, and as he goes grocery shopping, and he just puts them in the bin that's at the front of the store.
Okay, thank you. So there was another comment, and maybe you can elaborate on this, Susan. The City of Cincinnati City Council last year passed a single-use plastic bag ban ordinance for grocery stores and restaurants and other food stores, but it was put on hold. Can you update us? This is for Ohio, on the Ohio legislation.
Yes, well, I've been getting a lot of emails about this, and it's something I've been following. Cincinnati Passed Plastics, which was the organization that pushed to have the Cincinnati ban on plastic bags. And the Cincinnati City Council passed that, the ban on bags. And then of course, you may know that the state banned the ban. And so, but that was supposed to expire in January of next year, January 15th of 2022. But we are right in that today I must have gotten 10 emails from the organization about the governor is supposed to sign this. He could veto it. Now, I don't have a position on it. I have no standing in this because I live in Kentucky, not Ohio. And I know Green Umbrella cannot take a stand on it because we're a nonprofit organization and don't take political stands of that kind. But I do know that you do your research, and if you agree that today the Bill 110, which the governor is going to sign tomorrow, includes a permanent ban on the bans. And he needs to know your position on that right away if you want to take a position.
Thank you. Yeah, I think that's very helpful information. And it's, there's no democracy without participating in democracy. So one person said they use glass containers rather than silicone, and as do I.
Excellent. And glass is preferable, actually, because it's very durable and you don't have to worry about the eco problems that might be with even silicone. But glass breaks. I use a lot of glass. I use glass when I can, but sometimes glass is not available, or not everybody has a lot of glass jars around. But glass is perfect. It's a good substitute.
So we have a couple comments about recycling. One is that the UPS shipping stores apparently will take some foam recycling material. Are you aware of that?
Yes.
Okay.
That's nice.
Gail, why don't you, did you say yes?
I don't know how widespread this is, but for a number of years, I've taken different size and shape and color of packing materials that when we receive packages, and take them to a local UPS store, which happens to be a Hallmark store. They take everything. They take large pieces too. So just if, I don't know if there's any limitation on what types the hub takes. So just that you might inquire. This one happens to be out on Coleraine Avenue.
Yeah, we'll take basically all styrofoam except for anything that would have had food in it. So no styrofoam cups, no styrofoam clamshells. And again, we're hoping that'll change in the next 2 weeks or so. But we'll take all other kinds. We'll take packing peanuts, whether it's the actual styrofoam or the cellulose kind, starch. We'll take the kind of the foam sheets, I guess you would call it, where it's, you can see there's little bubbles in it. And a lot of that we actually reuse. I need that to pack the lithium batteries. And then we have that for reuse for other people to take. We'll take the big pieces of styrofoam that may have come with furniture and things like that. We actually take that up to Eco Development, or when we have enough bags, they come get it from us. We'll take bubble wrap. We'll take the air pillows. A lot of that stuff we hold. And then if people need it for reuse, then they can just come and get it for reuse.
Nice, thank you.
Yeah, good.
So another question is that this person hears that recycled plastic containers are not being recycled. Do you know if Rumpke is recycling everything that they say should go in the recycle bin?
Well, I don't monitor Rumpke's. I've toured
been
them
to the tours,
and I talk with them more often than most people should, because I keep saying, now what about this? Will you take this? And so I call them on the phone a lot. I try to keep the recycling I put in my cart legitimate and clean, so that I don't contaminate a batch of recycling that they would get. But I'm not out there daily watching what they do. I think the fact that they seem to be pretty responsible about trying to, add the additions of the tubs and the, some number fives, they're really trying to
recycle them,
to respond to that. And so
I think
if anybody else has other information on that.
So I can vouch. I know for a fact that they have a contract with Brightmark, which is the plastics company that we're getting we're hoping to get our contract with in the next 2 weeks. I don't know the details on that, so I don't know if that's where they're sending the number 5 tubs, or if that's where as they pick all the other things that sort of they don't officially take for recycling, if they're taking that and then sending the plastics to Brightmark, because it's probably more long-term benefit to them to actually do that than have it go in the landfill, especially since they already have another expansion on the horizon here.
So
thank you.
So a couple people have asked questions about substitutes. So one is substituting the Scotch tape kinds of plastic tape dispensers, and the other is mesh bags for picking up your produce.
Okay, on the plastic tape dispensers, you mean these little plastic things like this?
I would assume that's what.
Okay. I don't use this. This lasts a long time for me, but most of the tape I use is more like duct tape, and it just comes in a roll without a plastic outer casing, and you just tear it off. So although I presume that tape, I don't know if it's made of plastic or not, but for heavy duty taping, that's what I defer to.
Yeah, in offices, you get a metal dispenser.
That's true.
And you just put your roll of tape into it. So that would be one solution. I get my food from Green Bean Delivery, and they are now using compostable plastic bags. So we have a compost bin, so I'm testing it. I've put my compostable bags in to see if that will work.
One thing, one word of caution for that. There are some like cups and clamshells that'll say that they're compostable, but most of those have to go to an industrial composter where they have to be heated up before they'll break down. You can't expect to buy those and have those and throw those in your actual compost bin. I'm not sure about the bags, but I know for cups and things like that, that won't work.
Yes, and I found the same thing, that we have a compost pile in the back of our garage, and that's good. But I know that a lot of things are really, things like that need specialized composting, like you're saying, Colleen, really need more than what this little paper cup could do. Now, you could recycle it as paper, but not composting. You'd need specialized place with long-term composting ability.
I have had, this Gail speaking, if I may, I have had success with the, when you have leftovers, doggy bags, so to speak, from the product that La Rosa's restaurants claim is compostable. For me, has been compostable, takes a long time, but it is, and it's kind of gets in the way of other things, but yes, it does. So, you know, they're sort of like their own clamshell. They're hinged, you know, but they are mostly foam. They're not the clear. Yeah.
Well, I know I want to respect our time because I tend to be a person who's very time conscious. And Joanne, is there anything we need to say before we close this out?
Yes, and I have put in the greenumbrella.org/faith to get you to our webpage to sign up for the Eco Challenge. And the Eco Challenge, if you're not familiar with it, it's like an app. It's like a game, and anybody in your family can participate and play. Every time you first you sign up and you say that you will try these habits. You will try to change your habits. And the whole theme for the month of July is plastic. And so you sign up and say you'll do such and such actions. And then every time you do the actions, you get points. And so then our points, we're one team. We're the Faith Community Go Green team. We're competing against many other teams around the world. And so let's get everybody on this call to join and to sign up. You can just sign up for one action, or you can sign up for 5 actions. I think they limit you to 5. They don't want you to overstress yourself. And hey, you know, we'll keep us posted. Maybe if we're the winning team, we'll make headlines in the Enquirer. So I'm hoping all of you will go to the greenumbrella.org/faith, and you'll see under events, there's a place to click there for the Eco Challenge. And it'll be a lot of fun. We've done it now. Our members of our working group have tried this, and we were so amazed how many points we got. I think CJ's on the call. I think she maxed out with the most points, and she says, you know, all she did was checked in every day and said she did her little thing, you know, and the points just added up, and it was really cool. We ended up with really a lot of points on that. That was our experiment. It was a lot of fun, and they have on there, it's not just the fun, they have lots of tips, and they have educational materials, and they have places you can go to learn more things and do things and actions. And I don't know, CJ, you participated. Is there anything you'd like to add? Okay.
No, I think you pretty well covered it. They really do offer wonderful suggestions, things that are easy to do, but you just never thought of.
And tips on how to do it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And
so remember, thank yourself for what you're already doing, and pick one new thing this week that you think you can try.
Yeah, and do it on the Eco Challenge. So then you'll actually measure your success. You'll get lots of rewards and yahoos. You did that. So sort of like getting your gold star every day. Well, thank you everybody for coming. Thank you, Susan, for this wonderful presentation and wonderful ideas. A lot of things in there that I have learned. I'm going to check out many of these suggestions that you had, and I really appreciate you taking the time to pull this together for us.